Okay, when you do microscopy in the lab, there'll be two kinds of slides that you will use. Some of the slides that you'll use are called prepared slides, and these are slides that we actually buy from a supply house. These slides have been made, literally, by an expert. Here's an example of a prepared slide. It's labeled bacteria composite, and basically what they have here is they have a smear of various kinds of bacteria that they've killed, that they've stained with a dye so that they're more visible, and that they've mounted on a glass slide and then permanently affixed to the slide using something called a cover slip. I don't know if you can see this round area in here, but that round area there is actually a piece of plastic or glass that's been glued down to the slide, and the bacteria are between the slide and the plastic cover slip. So these prepared slides have been made by experts, and you can buy all kinds of prepared slides, all kinds of different tissues to look at. More commonly, however, when you're in the lab, we will make our own slides. We make our own slides using actually a very simple technique. What we do is we make a wet mount, what's called a wet mount of the sample that we want to view. Now, often the things that we're looking at are actually already in water, all right? So for example, if you're looking at a paramecium, the paramecium is already swimming through the water, so you take a drop of the water that has the paramecium, and obviously that water that the paramecium was swimming in is the water you use for your wet mount. The first wet mount that you make, however, is actually going to be a wet mount of something that's naturally dry. You're going to make a wet mount of a letter E, oh, this is going to be fun, that you have actually cut off out of a piece of paper. So I've cut a little letter E, lowercase e, out of a piece of paper. I'm going to put the E on my slide, okay? The slide is actually just a rectangular piece of glass. Be careful because it's a little bit pointy. If you drop a slide, just be very, very careful because the glass can be pretty sharp. All right, so there's my E sitting on the slide. True to the name, wet mount, we're going to want to put a drop of water on the letter E, directly on the letter E. The reason we do that is because the cohesivity of the water molecules and then the adhesivity of the water molecules to the glass will actually help hold the E in place. All right, so I'm going to put a drop of water on the E. Oops, it turned over on me. Anyway, I'm going to put a drop of water on top of my E. It was not supposed to flip over. I guess I've lost my skill in a year of not teaching. But anyway, there is the E floating in my water, sort of. It's upside down, but that's all right. You probably can't see it. And then I'm going to take my cover slip, which is a little square piece of plastic. Adhesivity strikes again. Here we go. I'm going to put my cover slip, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my cover slip on its edge in the drop of water, and then just slowly drop the cover slip down on my specimen. And if I've done it correctly, and I haven't done this one correctly, my E should be facing up. Mine's upside down. But the cover slip should be kind of resting or floating on a very thin film of water, and my specimen should be caught between the cover slip and the slide. I use water because we're just looking at a letter E. Sometimes if we're looking at a transparent or a semi-transparent cell, we would use a drop of dye. It's still a wet mount because the drop of dye obviously is a liquid. The idea of the drop is it helps seal the cover slip or hold the cover slip down to the surface of the slide. What it's going to do is it's going to flatten the specimen, and it also provides a dry surface. It also changes the optical characteristics of kind of what you're looking at in a way that's beneficial to the image. So you don't have to worry about the details of that. Just understand that making a wet mount accomplishes several things for us. It gets the specimen on the slide. The cover slip with the liquid between the cover slip and the slide holds the specimen in place, and it flattens the specimen, all right, which is something that you really need to do in order to see it clearly and properly. The optics on compound microscopes are also always adjusted, assuming that you've got the thickness of a slide and the thickness of the cover slip with a little film of liquid between the two. So it actually improves the, again, the viewing characteristics of the sample. So there's your wet mount. You are now ready to put the slide on the microscope.